Hello. Today I am going to tell of the story of the white birch and the rhododendron. If you go up the mountain Backdu step by step, you will see that the winding white birches are standing as if they touch their waists to the ground, and under them the rhododendrons are growing densely as if they embrace the white birch. There is a tearful legend in the shape of these white birches and rhododendrons. A long time ago, at the foot of the mountain Backdu, Mr. Back, the old hunter, had been living with his granddaughter Serwa, which means a flower that bloomed in the snow. Serwa, whose parents died early, grew up as a beautiful virgin in the care of her grandfather. Whenever the old man Back went hunting, he used to ask his granddaughter of doing these.
Oh, my lovely granddaughter Serwa, in the daylight you must keep this home clean, and in the night you must lock the door and go to bed early.
Yes, sir, Grandpa. Please have a safe hunting.
Serwa used to nod and bow to him fast. One time, the old man Back went a long way with the hunters. The youngest son of a rich man of this village, who had 9 concubines, passed by the house of Serwa and encountered her coming in with holding a water jar on her head. As soon as he saw Serwa, he swallowed his saliva and stopped walking. It is said that the moon is fine at night, but the face of Serwa is more fine than the moon. And they said that the morning star shines in the sky, but the eyes of her under the thin eyebrows are brighter than the morning star. As he passed by the side of Serwa, the fragrance came out in deep, and it was hard for him to endure. And in the case of letting her pass before him was also hard for him to endure, because his mind was in a fidget. When the youngest returned home, the beautiful face of the Serwa came to his eyes vividly, and so he could hardly calm down. He finally called a matchmaker. The old matchmaker woman, who had a wrinkled and crumpled face, was called from the youngest and came into his house promptly like the wind blowing up the edge of her skirt.
Don't you know the old man, Back's granddaughter? Do you?
The wrinkly-faced old matchmaker woman, who noticed inner intentions of the youngest at his first word, put a wily smile on her face and painted out it in sycophantic manner on his face.
Oh, yes, sir. I know her very well. She is a flower that blooms in the snow, as her name suggests.
The youngest grabbed old matchmaker's hand all at once.
Grandma, you have to do something for me.
Ha! You greedy?
If you make it happen, I'll pay you handsomely.
The youngest man made an ardent appeal to the old matchmaker woman. He even gave her a few brass coins. The old matchmaker woman ran to the house of Serwa to the extent of get wind in her shin.
Oh, Serwa, dear charming girl. Something good has happened to you. If you do some sundry errands in that rich man's house, you will be paid a lot of wages.
Serwa heard such this saying for the first time and was standing in a daze.
Gosh, it'd be nice to make a penny while your grandpa were away. Others asked me obstinately to do such a thing, but they didn't get a chance. Answer quickly.
The old matchmaker woman so much ingratiated herself with Serwa in a hurry, Serwa answered.
I'll think about it.
After the old matchmaker woman went back, Serwa was thoughtful and deep. It was also nice. That was nice to be able to earn a penny and could help her grandfather. However, almost all of the matchmakers were on the side of the rich, and she was worried because she remembered the rich youngest who was staring at her. The next day, as the sun rose up, the old matchmaker woman came to Serwa again.
Oh, Serwa, dear charming girl, if you don't accept that request today, they'll hire someone else. Let's go. Hurry up.
I'll go on one condition. I'll go in the morning and come back firmly in the evening.
Of course. You can do at will.
So Serwa followed the matchmaker because she guessed that no matter how the youngest might have his eyes on herself, he could not do any wicked thing in broad daylight. In that rich man's house, they had Serwa do only clean and comfortable works, and they gave her extraordinary tasty food for lunch and even gave a lot of wages to her for dinner. Serwa could not think that the youngest put the bait to catch the big fish, and so she was even secretly delighted. She decided to save up money and make his grandfather happy when he came home. A few days later, the youngest sent silk fabrics to her. Serwa was not eager to get his present.
Nay? Other people are really upset because it's not their chance. If so, your refusal? That's terrible indeed.
Serwa was rather sorry because the old matchmaker blamed her for declining that present in a noisy talking. She thought,
I would take it first and keep on close watching about the doing of the youngest and the matchmaker.
A few days later, Serwa took on an unexpected task. The youngest of a rich family went out alone to a secluded house saying that he wanted to study, and she was asked to do the sundry errands for him. Serwa did not want to go a secluded place alone, but situated in a low position of doing job work, she could not say recklessly that she could not do it.
I only need to be clean.
Serwa, who thought like this, was firmly in control of her mind and frequented the secluded house alone. But who would have known that a rumor leaking out of this corner or that corner was making her heart cold? It was said that Serwa was caught by the youngest with her wrist today, and that the next day she went into the room of him and came out at dawn. When the scandal broke out, the hatred, contemptuous, and jealous glare of the 9 concubines flew into her and it made her shuddering. Serwa was so angry that she gave up the job work and did not go back to the rich house again. The old matchmaker woman hastily visited Serwa.
Why didn't you go to your job?
Serwa glared coldly at the old matchmaker woman.
I'll quit off.
Oh, no. This is ungrateful. The rich youngest is so friendly and thoughtful for you, isn't he?
I don't want to hear it. Get out of here.
Serwa straightened her eyebrows.
Yeah, I get it. There's been a lot of talk lately. There's no reason to be afraid. Hey, Serwa, I'll tell you what. You would rather be... Why don't you become a lovely concubine of the youngest?
You filthy bitch.
Serwa spitted in matchmaker woman's face. The old matchmaker woman rubbed spittle on her face with her hands deftly and clung to her, making an insidious smile.
It's like a pumpkin that is coming to you with vines. If you kick the good luck that comes in, you'll get the bad luck. I won't be wrong.
Serwa did not even talk and pushed the old matchmaker woman out of the door. The old matchmaker woman tried to stick through like a leech. Serwa got angry and threatened her with grabbing a stick in the kitchen.
Get out of here at once.
There was a spark in the eyes of Serwa.
All right, then. Disgorge all the money and clothes you have got on the spot.
Sarah took the lid off the box all at once and strewed the matchmaker with the money and clothes like as she did with the stone in a blaze anger. But the matchmaker only threatened Sarah.
It will cost you dearly. Can you withstand it?
As the old matchmaker woman went out, Sarah was so mortifying that she cried her heart out. In the evening, the old man back who was coming home from the hunting met the rich man's head servant at the outside the village entrance. The old man back from the mountain could not know that this guy had been waiting for him here for 3 days at the request of the matchmaker.
Ah, well, it's about time. I've been waiting for 3 days to inform you one thing stealthily.
What do you mean?
Your granddaughter has something with my master, the youngest.
What? Tell me clearly.
The old man back grabbed the head servant's neck.
Just like that. Oh dear, release my neck. That's a very weighty problem. How can I say useless thing?
The old man back's eyes went dark as if he had been hit on the top of his head by a club. The grudge pierced his heart. His son went the hunting that he did not want by the persecution of the rich guy, and then he died out on that way. And his daughter-in-law was raped by that rich guy and couldn't overcome her shame, so she hung herself, leaving a little daughter behind.
Today, even the only granddaughter of mine, Sarah. What the hell does that rich guy look like? What's wrong with him? Why does he put an infernal disaster on our family?
The old man back jumped into the rich man's house at once. A flame of vengeance blazed up in his heart briskly. He ran into the rich guy's room and stabbed him thoroughly in the chest with a dagger. The rich guy fell down in the place on which he was standing with his voice. Subsequently, the old man back ran round looking for the youngest. Just as the youngest was entering the yard, humming, the old man back ran to him and stabbed him hard in his abdomen with his sharp dagger.
Phew!
He grabbed the hilt of a dagger stabbed in his abdomen and stumbled on a few steps and fell with a thump to the ground. The head servant and women came out in a stampede to the yard. The old man back took off his bow agilely, which was tied to his back, and mounted an arrow on the bow and drew that bow with all his might and flew it at one of them. With the sound of soonge, the arrow flew past at a superfast speed and stuck itself into the forehead of the youngest lawful wife. She fell forward on the spot. The old man back stood firmly like a totem pole and put an arrow on the bow again. He was full of anger. The women and men who came running shivered and did not know how to do. They so embarrassed that they wished the mouse hole would drag them into.
Listen to me. If you raise a wail before dark, or tell other sons of the death of their mother, my arrow will not forgive you.
The old man back, who had made threatening remarks in that way, came back to his home in an unconcerned manner. As he entered the yard, Sarah came out urgently.
Grandpa?
Sarah broke into tears and fell into the old man back's bosom with a rush. What a long-awaited grandfather! How much anxious she was. But the old man back, who has not calmed down his anger not even a bit, pushed back Sarah.
Those rich bastards are sworn foes of our family. But you what?
Her grandfather was so mortifying that he couldn't even talk with her. Sarah grasped the meaning her grandfather, and she complained to him, falling on her knees.
Grandpa, I'm clean. Don't let them trick you. Please trust this granddaughter.
I don't want to hear it. From now on, you are not my granddaughter.
Grandpa! Oh, my grandpa. Please, my own.
When the old man back was angry, He used to give a blow to the wall and fling himself away. There was no reason for her complaint to be heard by such an old man. He kicked out hard a brushwood gate and disappeared like a wind. Serwa had no place to burst into mortifying and deplorable feelings and cried out to the heavens and fainted away. How much time passed? When she woke up, it was dark everywhere.
Whether I live or die, I have to find out where my grandfather is and go there. And I must let him know that this body of mine is clean.
Clenching her two fists, Serwa went on the road in search of her grandfather.
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Serwa's voice, calling out to her grandfather, seemed to burst with blood. As she climbed up the steep peaks of the mountain Backdu crying out such this, it was already dawn. In the distance, she saw her grandfather standing on a rock with his white Korean topcoat flapping in the wind. Serwa ran with all her strength. Her throat smelled of burning chaff. But her grandfather stood on a rock and solidified just as it is, looking at the bluish easterly sky. Serwa was so devastating that she grabbed her grandfather's topcoat by a hem and cried pathetically,
Grandpa! My body is clean, even in the afterlife. Please believe your granddaughter's the pine and bamboo like chastity. Please, please believe me.
Making an appeal like this, Serwa was crying and swooning. But even after recovering herself, she was wailing again and again, and then dying on the spot. After that, we do not know exactly when it was, but white birch and blue rhododendron sprouted and grew up from the place where the old man and his granddaughter fell down. And it was said that Serwa's strong chastity like the pine and bamboo became a rhododendron and blossomed on the snow. And it inspired the soul of her grandfather, which was hardened like iron flesh, to know her innocence. And they said that the old man back, who became a white birch, thought that her granddaughter's demeanor was praiseworthy, and so he always bent down to pass over his hand on her head